Today I'm going to take you on a tour of my favourite garden, which is called the Garden House, which is in southwest Devon, in between Plymouth and Tavistock. And it's a really nice little independent garden run by a charity called the Fortescue Trust. Due to the garden's location, they do have quite a lot of subtropical plants. It also has a wide variety of different plant species from all over the world. It's more than most gardens you go to. It is more the botanical end. It's got loads of different plants. There's always something new to find here. And the garden isn't huge, but it has so much detail in it. It is really just like going around a detailed botanical gardens. Also, the gardens are like beautifully landscaped into all sort of pathways and different bits. So it's a great source of inspiration both for gardening and for landscaping ideas. You see, come in here and immediately you've got all these choices. Should I go up there? Should I go down here? Should I go down there? There's like all loads of choices. So whichever way you go around is never the same as any other time. So I think today we'll go this way. Piece away this gorgeous wedding cake tree here, and then in the spring there's just loads of different camellias and enkianthus and all sorts of things to look at here. Loads of interesting trees and shrubs. This is a Styrex japonica, and it just looks amazing when it flowers, and the fruit are kind of nearly ready. Apparently you can eat those. And then lots of cyclamen coming up here. And this really interesting Japanese maple here with these very elongated leaves. These gardens are sort of dog friendly. You can bring dogs here, but when they have a little sign like this with a paw print with a line on it, that means no dogs in this bit. But all of the, or most of the main paths, you can actually walk around with dogs as well. Here you can see it's opening out into one of these big round lawns that they have here. Japanese anemones nearly over. Brunea here with these variegated leaves look really, really nice. And this is just like a very nice little open space here. These gardens were built and designed and planted by the Fortescue family, who bought this place in 1945, and they both worked in Eton College, which was then in Buckinghamshire. And in 1961 they set up the Fortescue Trust, and both of them died in the 1980s. But since then the Fortescue Trust has run this gardens independently, so it's not part of the National Trust, it's not in some other group of gardens, and as a result it is very unique and very detailed. And the sheer amount of different plants and things, and as you can wander around it and find different plants every time you come here, it's like a treasure trove of different plants. And because it's kept its independence, it's able to kind of do what it wants to do, how it wants to do it. So they've kind of kept the gardens as they were wanted to be kept by the Fortescue family for all these years since. Everything here is really well signposted, which is really good, so it's quite difficult to get too lost. And then you've got this nice cafe here when you can sit outside. And this, in the spring, this gorgeous wisteria here. But then you've got this Chilean bellflower, which you can just see the red flowers growing up there. That sort of flowers till about November. There's loads of this really nice hardy begonia, which just covers a lot of space and flowers for a very, very long time. And all different types of wolfbane that come up at different times as well. They're making this really nice kind of purple splash. And there's Hesperantha, loads of big clumps of this. So you've got this pinky one and this sort of darker pinky one. Around the cafe area you have quite a few of these roundish lawns, which are all these kind of nice artistic shapes with lots of colour around them. I think it's like halfway through September, and you see there's colour all the way around and lots of different things as well. A lot of these colchicums at the moment, and there's still some hydrangeas flowering, but there's always something out at any time of year. And the reason I chose to do this now rather than right in the middle of the summer is to demonstrate how this place has always got something of interest. Now this lawn is always kept really short, and it's just really nice to sit on. It rained yesterday and it's dry already. It's quite sandy soil. There's sandy acidic soil here. So yeah, the ground dries quite quickly, and quite often people bring picnics and sit here and have a picnic, and it does give you so many nice places to sit. In fact, one of the best things about this garden is it has like loads of creative seating places and seating ideas and landscaping ideas. But as we go round, we'll see all of that. But yeah, lawns are just lovely. A properly kept lawn, really nice to sit on. And it's got lots of different wild herbs growing in it, so they haven't used much in the way of pesticides. You've got quite a diversity of things here, mosses and herbs, so it's kind of nice and comfy to sit on. And from this lawn you've got multiple choices again. You've got this path going off up here, you've got this path which goes down into a very steep like rockery bit, and then you've got this path here which goes to another lawn, and then you've got another few entrances out up there, so you've always got choice. And this is one thing I try to do at mine, is I try to give as many choices as possible, so you've got like a much more of a feeling of distance. So I think I'm going to go this way and keep on the theme of these lawn areas for now. So here you've got another big lawn area, slightly bigger. In the spring you've got these beautiful flowering cherries and magnolias and all sorts of things. You've got a nice mixture, a blend of trees, shrubs and plants, all coexisting really nicely together. Here you've got a couple of these golden rain trees, which are really kind of interesting looking plants, but can be an invasive weed in some parts of the world. And then you have this really quite vast load of different hydrangeas. Now they're often changing to nice leaf colours at this time of year, and they finish flowering, or most of them have, but you still look nice with these kind of remains of flowers. So hydrangeas cover a lot of colour for a long time. And then you've got just loads of different colchiums, these meadow saffrons. This one's named after a former Prime Minister called Disraeli, who was Prime Minister twice during the 1800s. And then as you go around you can just see lots of colour everywhere. Like this paniculata hydrangea here, which is finished, but it looks like it's still flowering. They're very good at sort of doing that, hydrangeas. And then here, these hesperanthias, really nice, very easy to grow, and they just flower all through the autumn, so they're kind of a good thing for lots of splashes of colour. But around this whole lawn, it's just like an interest and lots of things going on, and of course lots of shelter and really nice places to sit, and loads of different choices going out all over the place. There's one here, a couple going off over there, and then other ones going down over there. So you everywhere you go you're sort of greeted with a multitude of choices. A lot of these Roscoea. This one's Roscoea purpurea. These come from the sort of Himalayas area, and the little herbaceous clump spreading plants that grow a little bit like ginger, but they have these very exotic flowers that look a bit sort of orchid-like, and they like sort of semi-shade, and they have quite a lot of them, and they do look kind of unusual. And over there you've got a skimia with white berries, which looks kind of interesting. Here, this is Camellia transnochiensis, and it's just starting to get ready to flower. You can see the little buds all swelling. If you just zoom into there, and then they come out as little tiny white flowers, like little miniature camellia flowers. I've done quite a few films of this, and it comes from Taiwan, mountainous parts of Taiwan. It's just like a little camellia. You can see it's like the leaves are like camellia, everything's like camellia, it's just in kind of miniature. And it flowers for an incredibly long time. But it's, start flowering maybe October, November, and then it will carry on flowering right up until kind of late April. And it's going to be kind of unusual. You don't normally see it in gardens. But this is one of the most fascinating little plants in here. Another fantastic clump of colchium here, and the first of the primulas to start coming out here. And a lot of primulas do start flowering in the autumn, including the wild primroses. They just sort of start throwing up a few in the autumn if conditions are right, and then sort of they put on the main flower in the spring, but they do have little dribs and drabs through the autumn. and there's the first one coming out. And then here, big clump of begini. They've got quite a lot of different ones of these, and these, some of them start in the late autumn, and some of them in the winter, and a few of them through the spring. So they have quite a lot of those. They should be out soon. And then over here, a different darker type of colchicum, which looks really nice. Here is a nice little example of how they've given the feeling of choice and the feeling of more paths, whereas this little path going off round here, which sort of disappears behind the shrubs, and then this little path over here as well, the same, but in actual fact it's a crescent, so it doesn't actually go anywhere, but it gives the illusion of more choices. So if I sort of go down here, it's really just like a little crescent coming round, but halfway along you've got this nice little bench you can sit on here. And from here you get this beautiful view overlooking this low shrubbery, across these lawns, and the garden house is very good for these beautiful seating areas. So all over the place there are these very, very kind of arty, beautifully designed places to sit, where you get really nice views and you also get shelter. So they're all really, really well positioned. So as you're walking around the gardens, you can just sit down and have this big scope of view of what you can see, but without kind of the wind or the weather interfering with your enjoyment. I think we'll come this way here and come along the whole top of the garden, because you've got this little this road that goes through, and there's actually disabled parking down there, so it's like saves you having to climb up the great big hill. And here we've got this beautiful angelica tree, which is it's related to angelica, but it comes from East Asia, and it's like a tree version of angelica. And here you've got some nasturtiums still going, and then lots of this different type of hardy begonia here. A great many of the paths here are suitable for disabled people as well, so that really you can get round the gardens in one way, shape or form, whatever your state of mobility. And here it opens out into this kind of like semi-wild garden area. And this area is made up of all sorts of mostly herbaceous plants from mostly different parts of the temperate parts of the world. Quite a lot of ones from Asia, North America and things. Just like growing as if they were kind of wild. Like there's loads of different types of Michaelmas daisies and Rudbeckias and just all sorts. And this is really colourful for a good another month. And here you have this beautiful hairy hydrangea, which is just growing up into a flowering cherry there, which looks really nice. And you see this this garden, it has a few footpaths going off it, but then if you see over there, it sort of goes on for quite a way. There's a lot of very kind of architectural interesting plants like this Rodgersia here, which is a bizarre thing. And then quite a lot of this lesser knotweed, which is quite a big clump spreading thing. And then just lots of little paths going off. So many different types of hardy geraniums. They're like, yeah, different ones flowering at different times through the summer. And you can see there's quite a lot of buds here still coming on this one. And lots of different types of Michaelmas daisies just about to come out. Loads of sunchokes. And there's also lots of this Joe Pye weed growing in clumps, and this is like the American version of our hemp agrimony. And here you've got this path that goes up the top here through shrubs. It's particularly nice in the spring. And if you look down over there, you can see over the wild area, beautiful little bench to sit on over there. And then sort of in the background there you've got sort of trees, starting with this kind of cherries and wedding cake trees. And here you've got this little plant here, which is actually from the tropics. It's indigo, and it comes from Western Africa, Southeast Asia, and in the summer it's covered in purple flowers, and it's quite a floppy plant. You know, it sort of like tends to grow outwards rather than upwards. But here, in all the shelter and being so close to the estuary, you can sort of get away with something like this. Really different hydrangeas. Here you've got this very interesting looking Seven Suns tree, which comes from China, with its really gnarled branches. Some of these salvias just kind of last few flowers here. And then here this gorgeous Cornus cosa fruit, which are really nice. And then lots of Michaelmas daisies just starting to flower here. One thing I really like about these gardens is, as well as having all these little secret pathways going off through trees and shrubs, they make sure you've also got these long viewpoints where you can see right across the garden, like here, and you've got this like a load of little lawns, low-lying plants, and you can see all the way to the cafe over there, and it gives you this big long viewpoint right the way through. And if I sort of go this way, you can see that the viewpoint sort of continues all the way over there. So that's kind of nice. You've got the best of both worlds. I'm trying to do this at mine, so I've got a few places where you can see right through the whole thing. Kind of based on this here and also other gardens. It's very nice to have both worlds, you know. You have little paths that you can kind of explore and you can't see where they're going, and lots of choices, but also these big wide open areas that you can clearly see and get a perspective of the whole area. So you can see up here there's lots of little paths all hidden in shrubbery over there, and down here it goes off into like an arboretum kind of down there, and lots of walks through the trees. But then you've got this this big bit here going through that you can just see right the way across, and that's really nice to have in any garden. They also make good use of various little watercourses that come through here. This one's known as the quarry pond, and it just sort of it goes through here and has all sorts of like suitable kind of water-loving plants, and just contrasts nicely with the garden and creates another sort of bit of something different. This is one of my favourite sort of shelter lookout points from here. You have shelter from the wind, despite it being right up high, and then you can sort of see out in just about every direction, but be protected from all of the wind and the rain. They have a lot of these nice bits here where you can sort of run for shelter if it rains, but this one you get a brilliant view. You can see the pathway going off there, so whilst you're sheltering from the rain you can think, well, shall I go this way next? And then you've got like this nice little seating area just there, and you can see down over like the quarry pond here, and you can see right down to all of the gardens down there. And then here you've got a little balcony here where you can look out and sort of wonder, where does that path go? So dotted around these gardens in various places, you do have these very, very creative little shelters here. And they're all sort of made of nice natural materials, and they're all beautifully artistically made, and they're just really nice places where, yeah, you can shelter, you can just sit in nice comfy seats and get a nice view of the gardens. So you can even enjoy the gardens in kind of rainstorms and strong winds. So if you've got a shelter from the weather, then you might as well shelter in style. Here, right at sort of the end of this big long bit that you can look through, you've got this beautiful Armani birch here, and just down there where we're going to go next is the Acer garden, which is just really starting to go colourful. And then just up these little steps, right at the end of this big long bit that you can look through, is this little stone circle here, just made out of old disused bits of granite. And down here, you've got the Acer glade, which is this gorgeous big established load of Japanese maples here, loads of different shapes and sizes. There's dissectomy ones here with all the hanging weeping branches, and then down here you just come down underneath all these different branches. Now these Japanese maples are just gorgeous at any time of the year, but in the autumn they go this beautiful colours, and they're really just starting to go at the moment. So in a couple of weeks, for about a month, this garden really looks at its best. But at the moment, yeah, they're just starting to change colour. You can see here this one's just starting to go, and you can imagine what it will look like when all these trees are in full colour, but some of the ones down here are. Now acers, or these Japanese maples, do like it quite damp. I'll just come over here. You can see there's like a little stream here. So this area is quite sort of not boggy, but kind of damp, and those are the conditions Japanese maples like. They do not like to dry out. And you can see along this little grassy area here, you have loads of them all the way down here, and walks going down around both sides and crisscrossing. And in the summer and spring, these like Tibetan and Japanese primroses all come up down here. And in the early spring, there's lots of bulbs come out in the grass. But really, in a few weeks' time, this just looks totally fantastic. You can see just starting to change colour. Some of them have changed colour, but when they go full on kind of reds and golds and purples and look really fantastic. So if you just like follow that bit of grass and low-lying plants, it kind of leads to this Acer garden. And then I'm going to go down this way to go back down that way and then head off to hopefully the walled garden. An interesting subtropical plant here, this is Eryngium pandanifolium, the giant sea holly. It looks a bit more like an aloe the way it grows, but it is actually the sea holly family, and it comes from like southern South America. But just look at that, it looks really kind of interesting and bizarre. Another really interesting little place of shelter over here. There's this really nice little 7-sided little shelter summer house here with like ways you can see out in every direction. Whichever way the wind and the rain is coming, you can sit somewhere in shelter, and then you can see out into the gardens from all directions. So this is like a brilliant place to come when it's raining. And then lots of these shrubby kind of foresty walkways. Here we have the wisteria bridge, which does look at its best in the spring when the wisteria is all flowering, and it's just lots of different types of wisteria all just growing along this this bridge here. In this very early spring and winter, you have this gorgeous scented daphne which flowers for ages. So like April, May, this bridge is just brilliant, just full of flowers and scent, and it's just really gorgeous. They do have quite a lot of interesting sculptures dotted about here in there as well. Like here, quite a few snowdrop sculptures, because they do have a lot of different types of snowdrops in the winter, which is really good. Everywhere you look, as well as being interesting plants, there's loads of creative things and like interesting little buildings. Interesting, creative little spaces. And this gorgeous dragon, I guess you'd call this like chainsaw art. And it's just made out of a big lime tree which fell down a few years ago. And it's really nice, you can kind of climb over it and sit on it. And it just sort of adds to all the different sort of things you can find looking around these gardens. Quite a few of these cornucosas just sort of ripening. They have these big white flowers that last for ages in the late spring, and now they're just sort of just starting to turn colour, and you can eat them and they taste like custard. And over here there's this myrtle tree here. They come from like the Mediterranean area, they smell really nice. And down here is the walled garden, which are through this this gateway here. And all of this walled garden is like herbaceous plants. It's very sheltered in here, so you've got quite a lot of subtropicals, like this interesting kinds of dahlias, loads and loads of interesting dahlias. And really from spring right through into the autumn, this garden in here looks fantastic. Kind of a lot of detail of interesting plants, and you've got nice big hydrangea paniculata there, and some really nice dahlias there. And you've got a kind of it's sort of like semi-formal, you know, you've got little paths going off. It's probably more formal than any of the other rest of the garden, because mostly the garden house is quite informal, but this bit is much more formalised. Because you've got a lot of like paths that kind of go in a kind of geometric shape really, but with this one being the most sunny, and the ones around that side being more sort of shrubby, but down kind of the bottom bit seems to be where the most of the subtropical plants are, like down through this little path here. Everywhere you look, there's lots and lots of interesting diversity of different plants, and lots of things still flowering. These heleniums are nearly over, but they're still giving off a lot of colour. And lots of these big cannas, which really don't like cold weather, and they're just doing really, really well here. Particularly when you see things like this growing here. This is some kind of ginger, I'm sure, but I'm not exactly sure which type. Really nice kind of perennial plant throwing up little shoots all over the place. They die back in the winter. They can, if they're happy, spread into quite a large area. Look at that beautiful kind of waxy flowers there. By being here southwest facing, surrounded by walled garden, it just protects them enough from the winter frost so they can thrive here. Last bit of the yarrows, more dahlias. The dahlias will go on till the frost probably, and then a really nice dahlia there, more cannas, and then this beautiful clump of baby sage. And then we've got this tower here in the middle of the walled garden. This tower is a very interesting way to get to different parts of the garden. So you have this narrow spiral staircase. It's a little bit dark and gloomy in here because it's quite a gloomy day. And then here you get up onto this like higher level of garden here. And then immediately when you come out here on this higher level, you've got choices going this way, going that way, or going this way. Where you come out onto this like slightly higher level lawn here, which is like a kind of another kind of hidden away little lawn which you sometimes find. They all herbaceous plants, and you can see like the cafe up there, and this steep shrubby rockery garden up here, and then different choices going off to different places over here. And then if we go back to the tower again, this tower does have a lot of interesting viewpoints all the way up, including here where you can see right out over the walled garden. And right at the top of the tower it just sort of stops at this like beautiful viewpoint where you can see right over the walled garden into the kind of pond area and arboretum behind, and all these nice little cottages and things. So it's kind of a nice little place to come where you get a brilliant view of the whole place. It's amazing how much colour there is and how many things are still flowering so late in the year. This little corner down here is much more sheltered than most of the gardens. You do get quite a lot of interesting subtropicals down on this bit. Like this arbutelon here. Now these things, yeah, they don't really like frost at all. It's got this nice wall protecting it all the way around. It's got loads of shelter. So this one flowers until about November usually. It starts flowering in the summer and then flowers in November. But yeah, it's a really gorgeous plant, this one. And this interesting looking podded tree here. And this beautiful Carly ginger, which I've missed this year. It's sort of just finishing flowering. And then here is gorgeous purple salvia. And of course, gorgeous places to sit. Just about everywhere. I mean, here underneath this wisteria, you get kind of a nice bit of shelter from just little showers, and a really nice kind of sheltered place to sit and look at the whole walled garden. And then through this archway, we have a gorgeous like pond area here, going on to arboretum all up this side here. In the pond still flowering, we have this flowering rush, Botumus, which is these like sort of pinky purpley flowers on the long stalks like that. And then the water hawthorn here, which comes from southern Africa, which goes on flowering really, really late, and you can sort of see it over the whole pond. And again, this makes really good use of just the natural watercourse flowing through the gardens here. And makes this whole little corner here into a really nice tranquil area. And this whole garden is just full of these beautiful tranquil places to sit, some of them out in the open, some of them under shelter, but all giving gorgeous kind of places to look and enjoy the gardens. And from here you get another one of these long viewpoints where you can see right across the pond into the archway of the walled garden. And then even so far into the walled garden, you can just see there's something interesting, lots of colour in there. So yeah, it's really nice to have these viewpoints. Here the little stream comes through, a little waterfall down there, which is kind of nice. And then up here, It's all like arboretum. Now this part of the gardens was a later introduction. You can see all the plants there aren't as big and established, so they kind of acquired this little bit and added it to it. I can't remember when, a few decades ago now, but you can see it's all like a kind of arboretum, lots of interesting trees growing, so yeah, this bit is all newer. And the arboretum is made of these quite winding paths. It is quite steep, but you have quite a lot of choices of paths, some grassy, some gravel, and sort of giving you a little choice of ways to go. You could just about make out the pond down through there, and of course all the way up loads of nice little places to sit, like this one here. And just about every bench here is in memory of somebody. They've all got little plaques on them. So yeah, I couldn't get all of the garden, but I got a lot of it. So it's a really good place to visit. It's just sort of A386, which sort of goes from Plymouth north, and it's like in between Plymouth and Tavistock, where you get to a village called Yelverton. You just turn off, and there's like 2 villages, Crapstone and Buckland Monacorum, close to this big area of moorland called Roborough Downs. And then there's a little sign saying the garden house, and it's quite easy to find. It's down a few country lanes, but not too many. And it's well worth a visit because it's just got loads of interesting things everywhere. It's not just like a lot of gardens have this low maintenance, just big plantings of things. But here you get sort of botanical interest, and there's always something. And I specifically came here at this time of year, which isn't really a brilliant time of year for colour and plants and flowers and things, just to show how even they've managed to have interest and colour at such a time. But from I don't know, October, November, you start getting the autumn snowdrops and lots of like trees that flower in the winter and things. So probably yeah, September into October is probably the least interesting time. So that's why I specifically chose this time, just to show how much colour you can have at this time of the year. So I think that's probably all I can do now. It's starting to get a bit rainy and it's quite late now, and I think the gardens have actually closed. So I do hope you liked today's video. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, please do ask. And if you press the little me, which is somewhere down there, then you can see all my other videos. And I shall see you next time.